What's going on, guys? My name is Spitfire the Wolf, and welcome back to yet another episode of Arches. So, real quick, I want to apologize for making you guys wait another whole month for another episode, and I've been keeping you guys updated to the best of my ability in the community tab. I've been very busy, and because I'm on break this week, I finally got time to actually edit the footage that's been here for I think like a month and a half now. So yeah, I'm very excited to show you guys the last two parts of this entire series. Well, I'm also starting a new YouTube channel that focuses around my dog, so if you'd like to check that out, be sure to find it in the community tab. But yeah, last time we ended off with us entering the mines, so we are about to see shit hit the fan, and I am super excited. So without further ado, let us begin. Now, who's in darkness? Oh my god, no! Oh my god, they actually drew him with blood. That's so sad. That actually breaks my heart. That's so sad. Oh no. I'm in the darkness. Everything is in darkness. No, just me. Stop fighting it. It'll only make it worse. Cameron is surprised by the bear's sudden appearance. Where am I? Brian sighs heavily again. It doesn't matter. But Cameron crumples up as something jabs him hard in the sternum, twisting in on itself, filling a black hole open in his chest. It sucks the rest of his body and attention into it as the canine curls up on the hard dirt floor, whining and grunting. Finally, air returns to his lungs, and as it does, he hears a snorting sound again. After a while, Cameron looks up from his position on the ground to see Brian on his knees, appearing to smell the stock of his shotgun. Then Cameron notices the white powder, and he understands what's happening. Cameron hears a familiar voice, one that he's sure he's hearing and not imagining. Yeah, Brian is 100% a drug lord here. Don't snort it, you're trying to coat your nasal cavity, not your fucking lungs. That's how my friends did it. Then your friends are fucking idiots. Brian looks up from his disappearing line of bath salts. Who are you talking to? Cameron quickly tries to hush Dylan, but Brian already hears them. On top of that, Brian doesn't seem angry or upset, but this continued stare demands an answer. His name's Dylan. He's my ex. Sorry, we didn't get along well. You getting some third man syndrome? Whenever I get real fucked up on too many drugs for too long, a person always shows up. I end up having a conversation with them and everything. Brian readjusts the way he's been holding his lantern and gun and grabs Cameron's arm with the other. I hear it happens to people in survival situations too. Anyway, I'm always too delirious to remember who the third man is. Yeah. Cameron can't understand how Dylan isn't real. But this nightmare bear apparently is. Is he being tricked? Alright, here's the deal. I'll stop hitting you as long as you're smiling, got it? Huh? Brian clenches his fists meaningfully. Cameron winces and quickly stretches his mouth into a large smile, even though it hurts to the point that tears well up in his eyes. Sorry, I didn't realize what you were talking about for a second. I remember now. Sure you do, pathetic faggot. Brian continues to inspect Cameron as the coyote remains quiet, keeping a smile plastered on his face. This experience is too much. All of this is too much. He just wants it to stop, and he'll do whatever this bear, this source of torment, he wants if it prevents him from being hurt again. I guess I did bust your chops pretty good, huh? Do not get closer to me, dude. Ugh. Cameron flinches as the bear grabs his badly aching muzzle in one giant paw. Wait, please don't. Ah! Cameron cringes hard, but he tries his best to hold still. Yeah, broke your tooth too. Swelling up a bit, but you're cuter with your face all messed up like that. Too bad it's gonna look real ugly by tomorrow morning. Not that it'll matter. It's just hard to look at you now with that stupid scar. Brian lets go and grabs his shoulder instead, at the same time glancing at Cameron's shirt. You from Bridgetown? Timber City? Or did you just pick that up at the Goodwill? I always say, when you're shopping at the Goodwill, Never pick up clothes that have anything to do with the place. Fuck, just a few years back I took a Western sweatshirt from the Salvation Army and Cameron follows along silently. Meanwhile, that third presence has shifted into something else. Something a bit more familiar. Brian's getting chatty again from the second dose he took. Anyway, I hear that city's overrun with Antifa and all that. A true liberal hellscape if there ever was one. Giving you fashion advice? Bro, my guy literally does not have a shirt on. Wait, is he even wearing pants? Okay, he is wearing pants. He literally has no shirt on. I do not want to hear him speak. His mother, following behind him, is holding his paw. Looking back, he can't see her clearly, but he knows it's her. It's okay. A lot of the time it's outside groups coming into the city making trouble. He even sounds like her, defending the city they both grew up in despite its problems, despite its streets becoming a stage for the country's culture wars to physically play out. Even while they suffered on the outskirts of what was supposed to be a liberal bastion lit up by the lights of tolerance and welfare, but instead glowing orange from burning cars and flashbangs. And yet they defended it because they both believed in its core principles. Now though, Cameron looks behind himself while also looking back. He's taller than she is, and he's reminded of just how small she was, how small she'd seemed to him now if she survived. He would have saved her too if she could have held on just a little longer. But how much longer? 4, 5 years? Could she have held on for that long? No, not with her habit and the amount she was using. And though Cameron doesn't want to admit it, it was her death that spurred him to make the first serious change in his life. His mom wasn't a good mom. All things considered, she shouldn't have ever had children. But how can he judge? She was still a teenager, excited and in love, living out of a 70s Chevy van. But all of that came to an end when he was born in December 1995. And his abusive, probably schizophrenic father left and committed suicide sometime in the mid-2000s. Jesus Christ! But for a few months in 1995, his parents truly wanted to make a good life for him. That feeling from that moment in time overwhelms Cameron. They wanted him to be happy, successful, and they truly thought he'd be the one to break the curse of poverty in both of their families. Even though they wanted that for him, they especially wanted him to be happy, to have a family life and a childhood that both his parents were only able to see the other kids enjoy from afar. They tried, but it's the most typical love story for people like them. Because then, like in all other stories, things break and things settle. He'd done the exact same before Devon. She should have taken more precautions. She left him alone in the trailer often. Her medications and recreational drugs freely available for him to experiment with while she was at work. He became an addict just like her. He'd become to understand that the baggage that comes with that label, that it's not just a craving or desire for something. Everyone has that. No, it's about who you are as a person. A liar, a thief, and a cheater. Someone willing to do anything to get whatever it is their addiction demands, anything to feel good. Whether it's pathetically checking all the coin dispensers in a casino once you spent your life savings, or pathetically combing through the carpet for whatever drug it is that you're starting to come down from. The only thing that saved him from that life and death was his grades. Somehow, through all the substance and abuse and neglect, he was a straight-A student, and that was what got him a partial scholarship to the University of Pueblo. And that's what got him out of the trailer parks surrounding Bridgetown and into this state's flagship university. That's actually impressive. Well done, Cameron. Like, despite the circumstances, well done, dude. A few schools in his own state had better offers, but Pueblo was the most prestigious of the schools that he got accepted into. A top 100 school with the best ranked nursing and engineering programs in the region. That, and at the time, Cameron wanted to be far away from Bridgetown, even if that meant the desert. And then he met Devon. She wasn't a good mom, but she was a great person, a wonderful person. Oh, he's crying, and she did the best that she could with what she had at the time. She brought him into a chaotic, unstable life, a life that she saved multiple times, and while he had occasionally wished his mother would just let him die, now Cameron is only thankful. While most of his life was tough, the past 5 years have been better than he would have ever dared to dream was possible. His life was perfect up until yesterday when they got here. Tears ran down his face, conflicted about how he should feel, but just knowing that he misses her and that he loves her and that he hopes she's okay or wherever she is. This third person squeezes his paw reassuringly. Cameron squeezes back, and he's comforted by the feeling that just for this moment, he's sealed off from Brian and the town, and it's just him and his mom walking through these mines. She tells him she's proud of him for graduating high school and college. She's happy he found Devon. Would she really be proud of him if she knew what he studied? If she was still around? I would have just majored in business administration or something. What'd you major in? Smile. A gentle voice from behind him, barely audible, and carried on the soft breeze that grows weaker the deeper they go into these tunnels. Music theory. What the hell are you supposed to do with that? Teach? The automatic answer, the one he had prepared for all of his skeptical friends who were going into the STEM-related fields. You a teacher? No, but that was my plan. Some plan. I mean, I didn't go into any debt, so I had financial freedom after I graduated. You know, you're pretty coherent for someone that's on many shrooms. Most people would lose their minds. Oh, I am. I definitely am. I don't know. I have more control than I did the first time I tried it. In fact, Cameron feels like he's losing his mind right now, laughing even though it makes every part of his body ache. Xanax is like magic when you're panicking. Anyway, what is it that you do for a living? Did it all pay off? Judging by the tone of Brian's voice, he already knows the answer to that. Customer support for Julian. Sad. Working for a country we nuked twice. Back in the 80s, we used to beat people up for working for companies like that. Cameron is at a loss for words, but only for a moment. Oh, okay. Julian, the current market leader in smartphone manufacturing, is Taiwanese. The coyote assumes that the bear is thinking of a certain other country in the same region. Either way, it's a strange and disturbing aside. It might be Samsung, yeah. But that's just Brian, and sometimes with Brian, it's best for Cameron to keep his mouth shut and to also keep on smiling. So why music? You sing? Cameron wishes the bear would stop asking him questions, making small talk like any of this is a routine part of their lives. But the coyote assumes bath salts will make anyone talkative. Kind of. What do you mean, kinda? Either you sing or you don't. Well, yeah, I mean I sing, but I'm not very good. I mean, you fucking better if you spent 4 years learning. How about you sing and I'll decide? I don't like that look on him, dude. I don't like that smile look on Brian. Ew. It's getting harder to keep up the cheerful charade as Cameron senses the cruel malicious arousal rising up inside of Brian again. The second dose is making him do more than just talk too much. Sure. Just gotta think of one to sing. Anything you want to hear? I know a lot of 90s grunge and alternative rock. You're a walking, talking stereotype, aren't you? You write your own music? Well, I definitely tried. A subtle twitch of annoyance ripples through the air. You know, one thing that really pisses me off is when someone's acting like an overly humble little bitch. Either you do or you don't. Either you're good at it or you're not. Either you offer something different or you fucking don't. So what the fuck is it? Oh, I do, I can. Just give me a second. The corners of Cameron's muzzle turns down slightly, his composure is almost crumbling. He's doing the best he can under the current circumstances, but he needs help. Devon, where are you? Brian's attitude shifts from one extreme to the next, making Cameron feel a sort of emotional whiplash, but as long as it keeps him from getting hit, or more importantly killed, he's fine with that. Tentatively, Cameron starts to sing, choosing the song that got him the most attention, the one that was played in moderate rotation at Mountain West colleges along with a few in the Northwest. A song about his ex, Dylan, about their mutual love and hate for each other, about the abuse they used to hurl at each other, physical and mental, and finally about their breakup. His voice is rough and cracked, and while some of it is because he isn't warmed up, it's mostly due to having his throat crushed. Dehydration and screaming doesn't help either. But aside from jolting each time Brian pulls him in a different direction, Cameron finds the melody and the rhythm. As he does, he becomes a bit more bold, singing louder until his voice carries through the tunnels. It feels very strange with his swelling muzzle and missing tooth. Brian still says nothing, and Cameron realizes he's listening intently. While this makes the coyote nervous, he knows it's better than the bear being angry, and mainly, he just needs to keep singing. Devon is in the mines with them, and he needs directions. Cameron just wishes it didn't feel like he's leading Devon to his own demise. Finding the entrance wasn't hard. While the main entrance had been blocked off with rebar before being filled and sealed with concrete, he'd known about the side entrance from the supernatural forms he researched before coming here. That and Cameron's blood was sprinkled here and there, and the scent of it spurred Devon on. Of course, it led right to that entrance. He'd started unlocking his cuffs the second he thought Brian might be out of earshot. He'd fumble with the tiny slippery key before freeing his wrists, revealing blood-crusted fur matter down to the broken skin. The Devon moves through the mines in complete darkness. Oh my god, please save us, buddy. Please. Holy shit. Dude, low key, Devon is actually kind of buff, dude. I actually did not expect that. He is buff. It's almost suffocating, almost panic-inducing, but the scent of Cameron mixing with the foul odor of Brian pushes the younger bear deeper into the tunnels. The air feels tense, as if the mine itself is intent on seeing what happens next. He's not going to fall into another abyss. When Lupita died, it had been an accident, one that happened after a tornado shredded their town, leveling the block across the street but leaving her house mostly intact. As a 12-year-old, he didn't just think that it could happen. They had survived the actual disaster, but just as the relief started to set in, his guards started to come down, it happened. He felt powerless in that situation, and he knew that her death had happened because of him. But this time is different. He couldn't fight what took Lupita, but he can fight what's taking Cameron. Damn it. After about 10 minutes, though, Devon starts to become more agitated, unable to hear them any longer. Going by scent alone, Devon can tell that he's lost the trail. Shit, 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 shit! He hisses through his teeth, trying to keep quiet in case Brian is somehow nearby, lying in wait. And then somehow he hears Cameron's singing voice. Devon goes completely still. He'd recognize his boyfriend's voice anywhere, of course, but Cameron's style is different, having the qualities of a singer from the 50s while retaining a grunge-like roughness. Coyote was heavily influenced by the black and white musicals his mother used to watch late at night. He was embarrassed about it after being critiqued in one of his vocal performance classes. He had been trying to change this technique when Devon first met him. But Devon always liked Cameron's voice, and it was due to Devon's urging that Cameron leaned into his style. He knows the song too, the one about Cameron's ex, the one that he didn't like to hear because it's violent and vicious. He never asked Cameron about it because he assumed the Coyote would bring it up in his own time. Now he needs to make sure that he has that chance. Devon begins moving as fast as he can while staying quiet. He knocks his nose into a few walls and scrapes up his elbows and shoulders, but he keeps moving, simply trying to force his way into the direction of the voice. And just as he thinks he's a few turns away, it stops. And Cameron screams and Devon drops all attempts at stealth. Cam! Brian! He calls out to let Brian know he's there, to at least distract him from the Coyote. And he barrels his way through the darkness, trying to find what he's sure is the last turn. Why Brian brought Cameron here, he doesn't know. He doesn't even know what he's going to do when he meets them. Well, anything. He'll do anything. Brian is looking a bit more distracted, starting to scan the tunnel wall before his eyes settle on what looks like a large crack from the ceiling to the ground. Cameron turns up his singing a notch, knowing that this is their destination, the end of the road. The old bear glances at him, looking annoyed. This, for whatever reason, is what brings Brian out of his stimulant-induced hyperfocus. Brian finally realizes what's happening. It's only now that the old bear remembers that Cameron's plan is to take the key. Even Cameron forgot. But now a huge paw flies to his pocket, digging inside and realizing it's too late before he whirls on Cameron. Oh, you little faggot! Cameron turns and runs, trying to take advantage of Brian, letting him go for a past couple of seconds. Something pounds into Cameron's lower back, just to the right. It feels like a cannonball being smashed to his body. Cameron is launched forward against the tunnel and wall directly in front of him, and he tries to hold onto it, sliding down slightly as he stares straight up into the darkness. It's so dark that Cameron can't tell if the ceiling is a few feet above him, or if it's simply endless space full of glowing arches that stretch on forever. His eyes stay wide, his breath is leaking out of his muzzle in a slow, high-pitched rasp, not wanting to believe the pain he feels spreading through his insides is real. Then he's on the ground, writhing and groaning uncomfortably while electric pain spiderwebs through his body. The blow Brian has delivered before are nothing compared to this. Cameron thrashes around in the dirt, desperate to find a way out of the hell. He's in hell. Who's in hell? He has to be. What are these red arches, and why are there flames spreading from his guts up into his lungs? Damn, probably only pissed blood after that one. Brian's mock concerned voice snaps Cameron back to the situation he's in. In the very back of his head, he realizes his trip is beginning its descent. The pain is still present though, and it's not letting up. How can he feel pain if he's nothing? He's finally breathing again, but each exhale is accompanied by a whining wheeze, involuntarily tears rolling down his face. Brian leans over him and the coyote cringes. No, stop, please! Brian pauses, then just grabs Cameron by the arm and yanks him up. Cameron lets out a hoarse, breathless scream as his aching body is forced to move again. It echoes around them before cutting off as a huge arm tightens around Cameron's throat. Cam? Brian! Devon's voice is very close, maybe only a tunnel or two away. Brian mumbles quietly next to Cameron's ear. Shut the fuck up right now, or obliterate your other kidney, got it? Cameron feels the threat hovering over the left side of his back this time, and quickly shuts his muzzle even though groans still force their way up, muffled behind his lips. This seems to at least satisfy Brian, and when he drops the chokehold before shoving Cameron forward. At first, Cameron is surprised that the bear didn't just hit him again anyway, but Brian's distracted again. Devon's too close. A few terrible plans go through the older bear's head that causes Cameron's already aching abdomen to lurch with nausea and fear. Brian considers waiting and ambushing Dev, but he quickly discards the idea as he realizes Cameron might try to warn Devon by making the noise right as he reaches him. That's exactly what Cameron would do, even if it means being beaten to death by Brian. Deciding again that nothing matters anymore, he pushes Cameron forward to the narrow opening, the passage becoming more tight until Brian has to turn sideways and struggle through, and then it opens up. Oh, wow. Cameron smells death. He instinctively backs up right into Brian. No, please don't make me do this. I can't. He can't finish his sentence. Brian's victims felt pain that still seems unimaginable to the coyote. Knowing Devon is close behind them, Cameron makes one last effort to turn and dodge around Brian, but the bear is far too large and he easily grabs up the coyote and throws him further into the hollow. Cameron comes up immediately, trying to suppress his whines and whimpers. Brian, wait a second. Think about it. I can help you. Why did you bring me here in the first place? Brian gives Cameron a dispassionate look, but he does pause, and that gives Cameron some hope. And some time. Let me talk to them. Let me see if I can reason with them. We both know that all of this is over. Cameron senses a slight shift in Brian's intentions as the bear begins to seriously consider Cameron's reasoning. I know you need my help. I can feel them. They want you, Brian, and they're waiting for you. I know what it can be like, walking in circles for most of your life, making the same stupid mistakes and knowing what you need to do to get better, and just never doing it. Oh yeah? But I finally did, and my life was almost perfect. Until I met you. So let's do it. Let's end this nightmare right now. Brian takes a deep breath and holds it. The entire town seems to hold its breath with him. Cameron starts to understand how deeply entwined this bear is with this place. This entity that seems to be pulling all the strings. Cameron can feel the monolithic entity shift and turn, as if it too senses the inevitable end. Brian is close to taking the coyote's offer, but it isn't meant to be, and Cameron of course knows that. A scuffling from the entrance announces Devon's arrival. Guess he's finally here, huh? Glad I brought my 10 gauge. Always want to make sure you got good firepower when bears are involved, eh? Cameron watches in horror as the old bear opens up the shotgun before inserting a shell. Cameron's mind is blank as he automatically lunges at the huge bear, grabbing at the shotgun barrel as Brian snarls in rage. Everything's falling apart and you're spiraling. Devon shoves his bulk strength through the narrow passage, squeezing through the hollow to the other side. When he stumbles into the open space, Devon spots Cameron immediately, the coyote being swung left and right as he fights with Brian over the shotgun. Cameron is covered in blood, tears matting the fur on his cheeks. The situation is already a terrible one, but again, his fear for Cameron turns to anger, and Brian sees the bear throwing vicious, crushing kicks at Cameron's lower body. Devon realizes that this is it, and he has no time to think. Devon charges up behind the old bear and bites deeply into the side of Brian's neck. A Apparently biting someone other than himself was a lot more effective, and he feels his canines sink deep into the flesh beneath the thick fur. The old man is covered in a layer of protective padding just like himself. The older bear clearly has a lot more of it. Still, Brian screams, high-pitched and full of fury. Then Cameron is finally shaken loose from the shotgun, and Brian grabs the barrel with both paws before ramming the butt of the shotgun back into Devon's stomach. The younger bear retches and crumples over, but he manages to grab the shotgun, holding onto the stock tightly. Brian, clearly aware of how bad the situation could become for him, lets go of the shotgun so he can turn around and throw a knee up into Devon's hunched form, an inch up above the navel, almost the exact spot he'd hit earlier. Devon feels as if his guts are flattened into his spine before liquefying, the force actually lifting him off the ground for a half second. Even though he lands on his feet, he immediately sinks to his knees. His muzzle is wide open as he continues to battle with his own lungs, all the while still trying to hold on to the shotgun. "You're a dead man walking, boy! All on your knees anyway, what a surprise!" Brian fumbles shakily to find the stock of the shotgun, hidden somewhere under Devon's bulk while simultaneously trying to avoid the end of the barrel, in case Devon is able to find the trigger. The attack had been enough to rattle Brian, even if it was short-lived. Devon curses himself trying to move, knowing he probably can't win, but he needs to do something. Maybe hurt Brian so bad that Cameron can at least get away. Get up! But he can't breathe, so there's not much that he can do to defend himself, let alone stand up. So Devon keeps his hold on the shotgun even as Brian starts trying to yank it from his weakened grasp, and he's starting to succeed. "Cam, run!" Devon rasps, not even sure where Cameron is right now, assuming that he still might be on the ground after being kicked so many times. Brian squeals. Looking up from his double-up position, Devon sees Brian in front of him, bent over as well, the grizzled bear grabbing between his legs. As Brian sinks lower, Cameron appears, lowering a foot. Coyote smiles with relief and joy at seeing Devon, seeing that he's got the shotgun. Cameron seems so sure that they've won that he doesn't see Brian's quick recovery, the old bear forcing himself up, murderous vengeance in his eyes as he runs at Cameron with another animalistic scream. Devon can only watch as the huge bear charges at Cameron. "No!" The much smaller coyote can only yelp in panic before Brian smashes into him and crushes him against the wall. Oh shit. Devon hears a crunching sound just as he gets his first tiny sip of air, just as he hears Cameron's own air wheeze out in a yawl-like moan. And then, even more viciously than Devon had attacked Brian, the older bear begins to maul Cameron. Oh my god! Brian bashes him left and right with blows aimed at the coyote's face before Cameron collapses. There, Brian begins to rip and tear into the coyote with his claws. Devon begins to move, but it's slow and he just wishes his lungs would start working. Cameron tries to crawl away from Brian, and Devon sees the horror mirrored in his boyfriend's eyes. Ooh! Then Brian comes down on him again, and Cameron throws his left elbow back at the bear's face, only for Brian to sink his teeth into Cameron's forearm and elbow. Cameron lets out a yelp and curls around Brian's muzzle, scratching and biting at it with his claws and teeth. But then Brian twists and tears, and Cameron is letting out a howling sound, his body's twisting violently. He's on his back now, and he goes quiet, staring in shock at the wall as he's laying perpendicular to. His eyes beginning to roll up as Brian thrashes his head as a crunch comes from Cameron's arm. The coyote can't make any sounds now, the breath seemingly knocked out of him by the pain. Devon has never heard Cameron make those feral pain sounds, not like this. The shotgun had opened up at some point during the struggle, and Devon drops the awkward weapon, too intent on saving Cameron to figure it out right now. You see him in so much agony that he can't breathe. He can't even vocalize it anymore. It gives Devon the final push that he needs. He charges into Brian, and the force knocks the old bear off the coyote. Devon had never seriously mauled someone in his entire life, but it's something that comes naturally to him and Brian, and while he had play mauled people in the past, including Cameron, this is the first time he brings his claws and teeth and muscles to full use. Straddling to the older bear, Devon roars at Brian before lunging down. First he bites Brian's neck again, from the front side this time, while his paws rip and tear into the bigger bear's hide. Brian seems to concentrate for a second before burying his fist up into Devon's stomach, but the younger bear is tensed up this time, and the fist gets no further than his stomach muscles. Still, Brian's power is almost supernatural, and Devon lurches and grunts, folding over and an ache forming deep in the pit of his belly, but it only makes him bite harder. Devon can feel that he's fully stunned the old bear, at least for now, as Brian takes his fist back and he resorts to panic shoves instead of actually trying to fight. When Brian finally does try to claw Devon's face and eyes, the younger bear leans back and smashes his head into Brian's muzzle. The sound it makes indicates a broken snout, and Brian lets out another high-pitched whine before screaming and trying to lunge up to bite Devon's neck. Devon leans back, just avoiding the teeth before smashing his head a second time into Brian's face. Then as Brian lays dazed, Devon lays into his snout 3 times full force, trying to pound every bit of agony into Brian that the old bear had given all of them. That would be impossible, though. Still, Devon feels a savage satisfaction as he lets out 2 of the old bear's yellow teeth roll out of his muzzle. Brian howls and rolls violently, finally dislodging the slightly smaller bear. Devon heaves for breath, watching as Brian comes up several feet away, crouching and also heaving for breath. You fucking... You! Brian can barely form words, but not just because he's out of breath. His bitter hatred is evident, so mad that only frothy spit flies from his lips as he sputters. Then Brian's eyes flick to the right, and Devon remembers all that once that he'd left the gun there, having been focused on helping Cameron. The old bear moves lightning fast once again, and he shoots off to the right, and Devon realizes Cameron's there too. Cameron, look out! Cameron, laying in agony after Brian's vicious attack, knows something is deeply wrong with his body. The crushing against the wall of the chamber had done it. The true pain that emanates through his left arm, and Cameron knows that it's mangled, broken, and useless. He can still use his legs, and Cameron forces himself to get up and start moving for the shotgun, hearing the snarls and growls of the bears behind him. He does his best to stay quiet, but stifled grunts and small squeaks of force their way out of his throat. As soon as he touches the shotgun, though, he hears Devon shout, "Cameron, look!" And again the nightmare that's Brian is tearing at his body, pinning him to the wall, and Cameron screams in terror as the huge bear starts trying to bite his neck. The panicked coyote is only able to just get his unbroken arm up. It's maybe only 3 seconds before Devon is there, but it feels like an eternity, Cameron considering how badly it might feel to die from having his throat ripped out. Cameron's right arm is torn up as well, but since Brian isn't shaking his head this time, his bones at least remain intact. Devon wrenches the bigger bear off of him. Cameron tries to get up to crawl, but it's useless. His body's been too beaten and broken to do anything other than dragging himself away. Then he hears Brian's high-pitched squealing again, and this time it's genuinely terrified. Cameron looks over and he sees the old bear is now on his back against his arm and is sort of hold by Devon. Devon is laying on his back, and Brian's arm is pulled towards his chest. Devon's hips close to the older bear's shoulders, his legs locked together at his ankles. Devon grunts and heaves with all his might, his huge powerful body arching toward the ceiling. Devon is intent on really hurting Brian this time, wanting to make sure that he pays the old man back for Cameron's tooth and arm. So with the tooth part avenged, Devon focuses on destroying the other bear's arm. Bear bones are especially hard to break. Devon has never had a broken bone in his life, but the younger bear knows a thing or two about applying force. His dad watched MMA all the time, and while he knows a little about fighting, he knows why arm bars can be so devastating. But even as he leans back, bending the big bear's arm over his inner thigh, only a few cracks are hurt, but it's nothing serious. Devon needs the arm to have less resistance and more distance from the fulcrum. Unlocking his legs, he takes just a second to slam his foot right into the older bear's jaw. For just a second, Brian goes limp, and Devon relocks his ankles before lifting the limp arm away from his chest and curling up. Then he heaves back on the arm again, arching hard while he twists his body. Torque! Now you're thinking like an engineer. Ooh! As the catchphrase of one of Devon's old professors comes to his mind, a crack splits the air and Brian screams somehow reach a new panic pitch. Devon looks over to see Cameron has dragged himself a few feet away, leaving a dark, horrible blood trail smeared behind him. There's a lot of blood, and Devon panics, thinking the coyote's bleeding out from his neck. Devon stumbles over to him, hovering his paws over the coyote's head. "Baby, your neck! Let me see it! He didn't get me! Let's go!" Cameron's in no shape to run, so he groans as Devon lifts him to his arms. The bear is starting to stumble toward the exit. Devon looks down at the coyote in his arms, just now seeing how truly terrible Cameron's injuries are. Then he glances back, shocked to see Brian standing. How the old bear was able to get up without making noise is beyond Devon. Ugh! The butt of the shotgun, powered by the old bear's huge body, slams into his side, spreading a sickening ache and a wave through his body. Cameron hears a dull thud followed by the vibration through Devon's thick body. He feels the bear cringe as he sinks to his knees, huddled over Cameron. Oh my god. The huge bear lifts up the shotgun he managed to keep a hold of. He struggles to hold it up with only his left paw, and his injured right arm dangles before he practically swings it up to prop his right elbow against the wall. A few pops coming from his shoulders he does. Wait. His right? He's holding the gun up just fine! Motherfucker is the... This guy has some resistance. I will give him that. His screams again when that happens, but with his fully functional wrist he can now take steady aim. With how narrow the hollow is, there's nowhere to go. Don't you fucking move, you got that? This is over. I'm killing that yo in front of you, and I'm ripping your fucking arm off, boy! Brian's expression is an odd mixture of excitement and disgust. Pity Wayne is half as cute as the pup. Oh my god, wow. Devon can only wheeze in response, and Cameron holds him tightly as he's cradled into his arms. God, you fucking ruined it. It was perfectly fine till you showed up. Now he's fucking fucked up to the point where he's not even fuckable. Cameron's ability to see and feel things is fading, just as the effects of the shrooms are fading. Still, there's just a bit left, and Cameron tries his best to use it. Devon's body begins trembling, and Cameron holds on to him more tightly. Devon's voice still breathes, and it whispers into Cameron's ear. Honey, whatever happens, just play dead, okay? No matter what. But Cameron suddenly turns. Devon watches as Cameron's face becomes a bouquet of red ribbons and the bear stumbles as... Oh my god, no! Did he kill him? Cameron's body jerks violently in his arms before going incredibly still. Devon quickly looks down to see Cameron no longer with the face. Everything that used to make up his face is splattered against the walls, and it still pours from. Cameron's gone. In shock, Devon looks at his arm and sees the white of bone shards. At first thinking it's his own, but he sees a few Cameron's sharp teeth also embedded into his arm. Devon leans over Cameron's body, an expression of untold anguish on his face as he starts to let out a low terrible groan that rises in the pitch of a bearish howl. Oh my god! Thank you! Oh my god, that painted a very fucking vivid picture, dude. Oh my god. Dude, if that was the case, Devon would have gone fucking Super Saiyan on Brian if that was actually the case. Oh my god. After looking forward, Cameron does the only thing he can think of. No! Cameron grabs the barrel and shoves up. The sound is so loud that it instantly deafens Cameron, and though the ringing starts to subside, the hearing in his right ear doesn't come back. Cameron? Cameron! I'm fine. Cameron looks at where Brian is. The kickback from the 10 gauge had hit him hard, squarely in the chest. Cameron can almost visualize the shock sent through the old, worn-out heart, already exhausted from the stimulant and the fight. The old bear is still on unsteady feet, stumbles back a bit more before hitting the wall and sliding in down to sit. Brian sits propped up against it, looking confused. He clutches his chest, rubbing it and grimacing. The shotgun is on the ground out of Brian's reach, and the old bear makes no move to get it. Ugh, fuck. He starts to try and get back up, but falls down. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Brian clutches at his chest and stomach groans. Wait, what happened? How did we do that? Oh, no. That was it. This is it? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the f- Brian slumps back and his body's convulsing, then he thrashes about as if he's trying to escape something. He knocks over and smashes the electric lantern, crushing it under his weight. For several more seconds, they both listen to Brian's groaning, rasping and snorting before it's silent. It's quiet for a little while longer, and Cameron and Devon are not daring to move. Brian had seemed invincible for so long. Cameron can't get himself to believe it might be over. Devon whispers something into Cameron's ear. Cameron, how do you feel? Cameron gives Devon a look that's a mix of love and exasperation, even if Devon can't see it right now. They both know he's badly fucked up. I think something's ruptured. It feels all wrong. There are two timelines. The one that's shot can be seen, and the one now is where he didn't get shot. Oh my god, but still, that's such a vivid picture. Like, he literally got his head blown off. Cameron places his right paw on his own torso and is wincing. Don't move, okay? I'll get us out. I'll get us out in no time. Devon starts to tentatively make his way forward, and just as Cameron is realizing how long this might actually take, possibly too long with his internal bleeding, his vision flickers. Oh my god. That's actually really weird. Like, the guitar's on the right side of your ear right now. I'm not sure if, like, you guys are picking this up on stream, but the guitar is, like, really, really dominant on the right side. Cameron stares at it, then looks at Devon, wincing at the bear's bloodied and bruised face. But Devon doesn't react to the light, like Cameron is the only one seeing it. But a shroom trip can't emit light no matter how hard you're tripping. I think I can see where to go. Just walk straight. How? Cameron starts to shake his head, then stops at his neck, sends a pang of fiery pain down his back. I don't know, but I can see. Let's just get out of here, please. Cameron tries hard to not look at Brian's crumpled form against the side of the hollow, his wide-eyed opens glinting from the gentle glow. Okay, just tell me where, okay? And sure enough, as they leave, arch after arch appears, and Cameron is confident they'll lead the exit. These arches had tortured his mother, but this feels like his mother somehow. As they move, they both hear rustling sounds far behind them in the mines, but Brian is definitely dead, or at least that had been when they left. So they keep moving, trying to keep quiet, and within an hour, real light. It's daylight. Oh my god, yes! Devon looks down at Cameron and winces just like Cameron did when he saw Devon's face. God, honey, we're gonna get you help, and you're gonna get better, okay? But what about you? Do you feel okay? Cameron's voice is weaker than it was earlier, and Cameron feels Devon quicken his pace. I'm fine. Devon says it sternly, setting his jaw, and Cameron stays quiet. Cameron, I'm sorry. And that's the last time you're saying that to me, okay? I don't blame you for everything. I'm just so glad I met you. He listens to the bear's heartbeat, steady for most of the journey, but getting faster as they move closer to the exit. I think I can hear a helicopter? Maybe a megaphone? Shit, do people come for us? The shotgun blew out my hearing, so I'm not really sure. Oh! Oh, that's why the guitar was on the right side? That's actually such a cool detail. Because Cameron lost his hearing on the left side. And so the only side that the guitar is on the right. That is so fucking smart. God, this is amazing. His trip is mostly over, yet these visions are so vivid. Cameron stares at this new arch, and something about it feels different. Oh. Mom, I found it. Huh? Her arch. You're seeing arches? You know how something can happen that's so impactful, it splits in your life in two? Like how you see your life as before, and after that moment, it can be good or bad. Devon hesitates like he wants an answer to the question he just asked, but he lets it go for now. Of course. I think meeting you is the good divide in my life. I think what happened here, and what's going to happen after, I think it's the bad divide. It had always been his mother's death, and it still is. A divide. But this time, Cameron realizes he's deeply affected mentally, and it's not something he can just recover from. Something's truly wrong with him. That's been the case for a long time, but now after this, something's been pushed over the edge. So another divide. I think we're gonna be okay, Cameron. Devon, whatever happens after this, I love you. I'm so happy I met you. Come on, you didn't have to say that first part. We made it, okay? It's just a fork in the road. Cameron gasps. Oh, Devon, Artie's alive. He went to get us help, I think. I hope. What? How? I don't know. He got shot, but he got away. Brian was pissed. He's hurt, but I think he made it. Oh, that's... Devon's lips tremble and his face twists up slightly as he tries not to cry, but it's out of incredible relief and happiness. Cameron doesn't tell him how bits of Artie are missing, or he can't sense them anymore, both because his waning powers and because Artie's too far away. At least that's not what he hopes. Okay, let me make a save right here. Oops. Cameron stares up at the arch, looking both beautiful and terrible at the same time. Raincoat Monster stands to the side as they pass, and this time Cameron doesn't think it's his old hallucination. Cardboard and unmoving, just like he's always been. But something about all of this, the way he's seeing things, something has changed. It's not his psychic abilities, it's because now it's subtle and hardly noticeable again. No, something else happened and his mind feels wrong. Looking forward is no longer clear, but as Cameron uses the last of his psilocybin and his system to peer into the future, he becomes afraid by what he sees. So he just turns his muzzle slightly to Devon. Cameron, we're going to make it. Based on what he saw, Cameron isn't sure. Devon will stay. He was able to see that much, but should he? More than anything, they both want to stay together. But if Cameron becomes a burden to Devon, he doesn't know how he can stay. He just hopes that Devon can still love him after this terrible change, and he hopes that he can fight it, whatever it is. So Cameron leans his head against Devon's shoulder, smiling in a mostly happy way, but in a bittersweet way. Alright, let's get the hell out of here. And there they go. God, dude, this game is so beautiful, dude. This game is so beautiful. Hey, look at that! The terrible change comes almost exactly 3 weeks later. Cameron had been feeling strange ever since he got back home, like he wasn't quite himself. After a flurry of hospital visits, police interviews, even harassment from the media, things had been strangely quiet. He's a broken road. Brian Dubois was a serial killer with the victim count in the double digits, with all the murders taking place over the course of nearly 4 decades. Jesus Christ! Also, we actually got a last name for Brian now. That would get national attention, of course, especially since Brian appeared to be involved in the high-profile disappearance of a college freshman last year. The body cam footage of their dramatic rescue from the mines even made the rounds on social media. For about 2 days. At the same time, a pandemic was picking up steam, and media attention focused there instead. Cameron didn't mind. The lack of attention made his recovery much easier. His burst liver and severely damaged kidney had left him needing Ooh! The hospital did what they could for his elbow, and his doctors were hopeful that with a lot of physical therapy, he could at least use it for basic necessities. While it did suck to maybe never be able to bend his elbow correctly, or without pain, what really devastated Cameron was the weakness and near maddening tingling in his pinky and ring finger. So for now, despite being eager to get back into it, guitar was an absolute no. For now. But what about forever? On top of that, Cameron had been trying to banish that damn voice from his head. No, Negative thoughts from his head, right? Just a flashback and one of the shitty leftovers from his shroom trip. Either way, all he could do was try to ignore it, despite making itself known at least once a day. Cameron, 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 something's wrong. But things continued to feel strange. It didn't seem to be related to his ESP because he could easily tell when that was happening. Ever since the shroom trip, a haze of psychic ability lingered around him, allowing him to capture thoughts and feelings seemingly at random. Downloading is what some people like him like to call it. He didn't have much control though. Sometimes he wasn't even able to tell if the download he was receiving was from the living or the dead. Cameron even began to try and hone his abilities and experiment with just how much he could do. What he quickly figured out was that without some sort of illicit substance, his clairvoyance lacked a great deal of field that had powered his abilities in Echo. That would make it easier, and so would being in an active location like Echo, of course. Echo is one of those locations, though, obviously, but there's so many others. He's a desert lake. Every now and then, Cameron would find himself pausing, like the back door of Devon's house as a chill would run down his spine. That feeling always meant Echo was attached to something, somewhere nearby. That's what Cameron called the beings. Not exactly intelligent or even living, but entities that interacted with and usually threatened the living. In that particular case, it emanated from under the black porch. When he told Devon about it, the bear knew immediately what Cameron was talking about. Oh yeah, I'd hear something moving under there all the time, like a person crawling around. Even Dad says he saw red eyes under there once. Being more sensitive doesn't exactly answer questions, though. Like, why is it there? Where did it come from? What the hell is it? All he knows is that it's not a person, and it never was a person, because they're all demons. And while Cameron had seen the old spark of interest in Devon's eyes, he had told Cameron to just ignore it, and focus on their visit for now. Devon just wanted everything to go away, quietly like it never even happened. That included Cameron's abilities. That was at the end of the second week, and over the course of his life, Cameron would look back on the visit as one of the last times he was truly himself. His trailer home in the southwest. There it is again. By the third week, Cameron was recovering at a remarkable rate, and so Devon began to pay Artie more visits and phone calls. Arturo's improvement was also rapid, but Cameron was left feeling a little sad that Artie never asked to talk to him, and would only ask Devon how the coyote was holding up. It made sense, he would tell himself. Devon and Artie go back further than Devon and himself did. Sure, something had felt off, but considering the circumstances, nothing was normal at that time. But as the third week progressed, what had been bubbling below the surface made itself fully known. The only thing that seemed to be getting back to normal were his dreams. Sometimes he'd still wake up whimpering or crying, thinking he was back in Echo. Devon had it far worse, waking up in howling panic, yelling about guns, chains, and death. Those are the times when Cameron did his best to give comfort and support, at least as best as his patched up and sore body could manage. But now, with some time between him and what happened, Cameron feels like a part of him is missing, like he's not fully present. It's like pieces of him litter the town of his trauma. Felt like he was still there in a way. And when that feeling really started to settle in, that's when it happened. A small pressure in his right ear started to develop. It was something that he was sure that had something to do with the hearing loss he experienced from the shotgun blast. It was irritating and it felt bizarre. They had set up another appointment with Cameron's audiologist a few weeks from then. The hearing loss was likely permanent, but then something began to replace it. Right in the middle of the afternoon. April of 2020? Wow, so okay, so that's like 3 years. Okay, that's that actually kind of surprises me because that means that we are in very, very recent times now. But with that being said, I think that we are going to end this episode off because I do not know what to expect. So, um, yeah, I think we have one more episode coming out for Arches, and I think that's going to be the end. With that being said, that's going to be the ending for this episode, and unfortunately, I think we only have like one more episode left for Arches, but wow, what a ride it has been. I didn't expect anything that just happened in this episode. I think like Cameron's abilities to see like these different timelines is now going to start peaking in the next episode, because I think in that one instance where he had the gun to his head, that's when it was at its peak. And I think it's only going to get worse from there. So I'm very, very excited to see what happens next. So thank you all so much for watching. And above all else, thank you so much for being patient with these uploads. I know that it's been a long while since I've uploaded one. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you in the last episode for Arches. Bye-bye!